Jumping into trucking, well, here's what you have to know about your dispatchers. Your success will depend on it. So this video's for you. All right, we're going to talk about bull versus bear market dispatching. And what we mean, it's just basically tying it to the economy, right? A bull market, for those who don't know, means actually when something is thriving and everything is going good, man. Like the rates are up, plenty loads, the load count is up. And we mistake, the rate per mile is so good out there that you can't really make a mistake. Everything is, everywhere you look, there's a great load. But this is the time when you're actually going to leave money on the table. So sometimes you're not even going to really notice that this is happening. So here's a prime example. Let's say a guy's getting 4 miles to the gallon, right? And that's not really good, but is it as noticeable when everything is great and there's enough money left to put in the savings account? There's enough for the maintenance. So everything is good, but it doesn't mean that it can't be better. So that's what we're talking about. You're going to naturally see a lot of dispatchers enter into the market during this time period. And the reason that's happening is because supply and demand, capacity. So owner operators are also entering. So your dispatcher count has to go up in order to keep up with the demand of the amount of trucks that are entering into the market. So how do you identify somebody in a bear market? So the bear market is going to be a little bit different. This is when things start to kind of, go down a little bit, because what goes up, as we all know, is going to come down. So dispatchers who excel in a bear market are phenomenal dispatchers in a really good market. All right, guys. So this is what's going to separate the boys from the men right here. This market is actually going to be when the hunt is on. When the rates are dropping, dedicated and spot rates are kind of fluctuating. Here's where you want to make sure that you're in the right hands. So we got Mike here, who has been a dispatcher himself, has built a successful company around some of the best dispatchers in the industry. So Mike, what are some of the qualities that you looked for, or that people have to have in order to identify that you're in the right hands?
Well, there is, just like you said, there is hunters and there is prey. The solid dispatcher is always gonna push for more. Like for example, and we've seen that because sometimes here and there we would be training dispatchers, and as we training dispatchers, and let's just use an example. Let's say there is a lane from point A to point B that we know, based on our data, is paying, let's just say, $2 a mile. And now in the good market, the new dispatcher is calling around, and he knows, okay, the rate is around $2 a mile. He has all the experienced dispatchers around him to kind of guide him through the process. And then he comes across the load, talks to a customer or the broker, and let's say we offer him $2.20 a mile, and the individual shits his pants, and he's all happy. Yeah. Let's take it. Man, I've been in the situations to where I've been blown away by the offer. Let's just say the expected rate is $2 a mile for a certain lane, and out of the blue, because you're always testing the water, you don't know who is who. And I'm like, so how much are you looking to pay for it? And let's just use example, let's say 500 miles, and we throw in $2,000. And I know that based on that market, most likely the best I'm going to be able to get is about 15. But I'm being offered $2,000.
Right.
My comeback is always going to be like, oh man, like, is this the best you can do?
You can push for more. Yeah, for sure.
Even if I'm already shitting my own pants, you always have to push for more, and a lot of people doesn't have that hunt in them.
So how does the guy actually? So I'm the owner op, right, and I'm testing this guy out. What are questions I could ask this dispatcher to find out that he's that guy? Because he could tell me, "Hey, man, this is the best I got. You should have seen me fight." And how do I know that's real?
It's really a tough call, but let's say, let me talk to that dispatcher. I'll let you know. But if that's not an option, I don't know anybody who is, if you're an experienced owner operator, when you talk to the dispatcher, you know maybe the most important couple of key points to pay attention to. Let's say there is a bad market, right? Let's say it's a bear market and it's hard. It's the rates are crap and the loads are hard to get. If your dispatcher is bitching more than you, how hard and tough it is, you probably don't have the best dispatcher because the good aggressive hunter is always gonna look for solutions. You're never gonna get the load offered. Man, the market sucks. The rates are fucking garbage, man. The best I've seen was a fucking dollar a mile. Uh, do you want to take it? Or like, I don't know, man. Maybe you should just stay home. That's not the language of a strong dispatcher.
Right. So what about the idea of possibly even challenging the guy? Remember, like the guy that's new. Hey, man, why Colorado? Why what's coming out or wherever? Right. As an example,
Yeah,
why what's coming out?
I
And if the guy is a deer in headlights, is that an indicator? I get it. Is that good or bad?
it can be different things, but the good dispatcher is always gonna give you a reasonable answer. So, for example, if you're going to Colorado, all of you guys know if you've been around, like you know that coming out of Colorado is garbage unless you get like really lucky or I don't know some just one of a few days a year that it's a little bit different.
Or unless you live there, now it's part of business.
Oh yeah, because we do have owner operators who live actually in
Right.
Denver, and we come out from Denver every week. But we know where we live. We're
Right.
just like Florida. You know where you live.
Yeah,
It's
for
not
sure.
a surprise. If you are being surprised every time you have to come out from your home, maybe your dispatcher isn't a problem. Maybe you got to look in the mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
But other than that, your dispatcher will always gonna have a game plan. Let's say, even solid dispatcher, everybody is gonna avoid making false promises because nobody wants to bullshit nobody.
Right. Of course.
So even if I'm as a strong dispatcher, I'm offering you first of all, I'm not offering you a garbage load going to Denver because I already know what's gonna happen coming out. So it better pay really, really good, and I'm already accounting for the load coming out of Denver.
You're right. So what you're saying is the guy should be actually breaking down that plan to you.
Yes.
Because like it's okay to go there as long as you know what comes next.
Absolutely. So, for example, if we just, let's say if we can get $1.50 going from point A to B, which is not Colorado,
Yeah.
and I know coming out it's going to be $1.50, so $1.50 average is still $1.50. But if we get offered going to Colorado for, let's say, $3 a mile, I'm going to tell you straight up, look, man, we're probably going to come out of Colorado for more than $1 a mile for sure. But even if it's $1 a mile coming out, we're going to end up at $2 a mile round trip.
Right. Right.
So it's already different. There is a plan. The weak dispatcher, the dispatcher who doesn't know any better, he's just gonna be like giving you some incoherent mumbo jumbo without any clear expectations. I'm not gonna promise you, man, we're getting like at least $1.50. I'm gonna push for $2, man. I'm gonna push for $3, but I'm gonna be like, look, man, coming out of Colorado is probably gonna be not the best. However, this load pays you enough to even in our worst case scenario, we're coming on top.
So that's an indicator right there, guys. That problem serves as an indicator. If the dispatcher really doesn't have an answer and he's just saying, "But this is $3," that weakness of just focusing on the $3 going in and just being hopeful that we don't even care what happens next because it's so easy to offer someone a load for $3 a mile.
Yeah, and I think that dispatching and being an owner operator, trucking is a big ass chess game.
Yeah, for sure.
So you always have to look 2 moves forward, 2 moves forward. So again, you got to help even your strong dispatcher to be able to plan those 2 moves forward. Because, for example, if you're one of those owner operators changing plans all the time,
Mm-hmm.
man, you're not gonna give me options because as a strong dispatcher, it's plan of a game. What's the difference if I'm gonna give you, let's say, the best load is paying $3 a mile on 1,000 miles, but I'm offering you a load that's 280 miles going to different location. If you get stuck, man, this pays three, this is better than 280 a mile. We're doing this. But my plan is, if I get you there, from that point on, we're only going down. If I get you there for 280, we have a different plan with different outcome, and my game plan is always a week. So I'm not just looking one load at a time. I'm looking at the whole picture, and the goal of the whole picture is to come on top at the end of the week, meaning the max amount of miles with a max per mile that's available in this current market.
All right. So would you say it's safe to identify this type of mindset? A good, valuable question. A new guy coming in, right? He may not even fully understand what he's asking, but a good question to give this guy some guidance. Hey, are you posting my truck? What is some feedback? What are you
Well,
seeing? You
well,
know,
the problem is if now you have like, I don't want somebody to get caught into some like weak dispatcher who can still talk shit but can't back it up.
okay.
You can't push against that if you don't know any better yourself.
Right,
So
but let's say the goal is, like kind of what you were saying. Let's look at the week. Let's say right now you're going to go for 7,000. What's your plan to get me to 2,500, 2,700 on a Wednesday? As you're moving along, because if you're not in that ballpark, it ain't gonna happen.
yeah, so that's planning.
Right. So here we go. So that's a potential question right there. What is the plan? Where is this truck? What market we're gonna go to? What are some of the options? What are different scenarios that this could be done?
Yeah, but that's also that is not necessarily a rookie question. So it's kind of like you got to know a little bit about things. I'm saying if you just like brand new to trucking and you just landed right here with somehow 2 years of experience as a driver, zero exposure to the markets, zero exposure to owner operator business, it's a tough call. I would say you're gonna eventually you're still gonna go to work for some company. Maybe you know somebody at that company. Maybe one of your friends worked there at that company as an owner operator. Talk to them. At the end of the day, we all know when you talk to a reasonable individual,
Right.
you can kind of gauge if he is reasonable. But just listen to what people have to say. Don't, like I've seen a lot of times people just keep talking over each other, but nobody's listening. But if you really, really listen, if you ask very direct questions and listen to the answers, don't allow anybody to just float away from the answer. Listen to what we have to say. If that makes sense, that makes sense. At the end of the day, I would say the easiest, the shortest way to try somebody out for real, just tell them up front, listen, let's give it 2 weeks, and then we'll see what's up. So instead of fighting back and forward for a month or 2 months and trying to figure out and putting sticks in each other's wheels,
Here we go.
and you're still not gonna get a good answer because it's always a conflict, it's always a fight. Instead of that, what I would do right now, knowing what I know, and let's say I don't know enough to really interview my dispatcher and see what's up there,
Right.
I would say, look, man, I'm going to be ready Monday, 7 a.m. I'm going to be in the yard, ready to go, all packed up. You got 2 weeks. Do whatever you need to do around certain parameters. Let's say I need to be back home. Let's just use September 1st as an example. September 1st is my Monday, 7 a.m. I'm going to be in the yard, ready to go. I got to be back home by the 15th of September. I don't go to California. I don't go to Bronx. Anything else is on the table. Try to keep it light, but at the end of the day, money talks, bullshit walks.
Here we go.
And then I'll do whatever you say. Just get me moving. And then let that dispatcher to run you for 2 weeks. It may seem a little bit counterintuitive because you're gonna be like, shit, man, this guy is gonna now ruin 2 weeks of my life. But in 2 weeks, first of all, you're still gonna make money.
You're gonna know.
But in 2 weeks, you're gonna know everything that you need to know. And then let's say if the numbers are reasonable and the work was reasonable, then you can talk to that dispatcher again and say, listen, can we adjust a couple of little details here and do it again? And just do it again. Most likely with a strong dispatcher, he's going to be able to guide you through the process and you will make money even if you feel that somehow you're getting a shorter end of a stick on a certain piece of that puzzle, like on one lane or whatever. Pay attention to what the plan is, what's the execution. If you had any, did you had a lot of delays? Did you had a lot of cancellations? Did you had a lot of other problems on the road that's dispatch related?
Right.
Judge based on that because good dispatcher, we know. We're going to verify all your delivery appointments. We're going to check and double check and triple check. We're gonna talk to the broker. If there is a customer, we're gonna talk to the customer and verify the broker's information because there is a lot of inexperienced brokers that just doesn't know any better. And because we don't carry any responsibility, it's easy for them to mess up and just throw it on your back and be like, oh, that's your problem. You deal with that.
So it's up to the good dispatcher to already know about that.
Good dispatcher is not gonna let the broker or the customer to bully or harass you.
Right.
Good dispatcher is going to protect you every step of the way. He's not going to expect you to just be calm and polite, be nice to the customer. That comes as a given as a businessman. You got to be calm and polite and everything else. But good dispatcher is not going to protect broker or customer over you if you are a reasonable person and business-minded individual. He's gonna make sure that he got you back. If you start getting problems like you arrive at the shipper and the load is not ready, well, don't get all worked up if that happens once because sometimes it does happen. It's trucking. But in 2 weeks, if you're going through shit after shit after shit,
it's not a good position to be in.
You got a crappy dispatcher. If you don't get involved and if you're not causing that shit, I would say it's almost guaranteed. If you get one shitty load, that's trucking. If it's one after another, still give them 2 weeks, let them do the best, and then judge them based on that. I think that would be the fastest and best way to do it. And then let's say if it doesn't work the way you were intending, if you're still not happy, talk to somebody in charge about what you're not happy about. There is probably another dispatcher. And believe me, you can have the same company. And just because you have weak dispatcher or strong dispatcher, the difference is going to be insane. At the end of the day, company has a lot to do with that because company should not be allowing a weak, inexperienced dispatcher to run a truck without some major supervision.
Right, yeah. So it kind of sounds like you got to jump in, earn while you're learning the guy, man. Like you really got to just, kind of have your parameters set, right? Because you already bought the truck, so this guy's going to already made a bunch of those decisions. And then when you're finally going to execute, you got to just pay attention to those small details because the detail, like we always say, trucking is in the details. Like,
you know what? Another couple of things that I just remembered. Pay attention. Who is the customer or the broker? If you're getting the same broker all the time, can it be the consequence? Like just accidental thing? Yeah, it can. But if you continuously doing loads for one broker, that relationship between the broker and the dispatcher may not be the healthiest relationship between you and that dispatcher, because that's an indication of potentially weak dispatcher. Unless that one broker is paying premium,
Right.
that's an indication that you have a weak dispatcher that is booking all the loads with this, one or two brokers.
Because it's convenient.
Because
right?
it's convenient, because he feels comfortable. That's an indication of weak dispatcher. Another way to figure out the weak dispatcher, if you always running for round numbers. So, for example, if you're always seeing $1,000, $800, $1,500, $2,000, your strong dispatcher is gonna freaking fight for every penny. You gotta be seeing numbers like $825, $1,037,
Yeah,
$1,869.25.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's just a broker tactic. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, man, all I have in this load right now is 1,567 cents."
Yeah,
Like,
and this is the tactic that I would use against the brokers as well.
Yeah.
So for some of you that are booking your own freight, you can use that, and it will work sometimes. When you're giving a quote to a broker or a customer, come up with a crazy number. What's a crazy number? Let's say if I'm quoting a broker and I want to get what I need to get, let's say if I need to get, we already been going back and forth. I know I can do it for 2,000, but we are still somewhere between 19 and 21.
mhm.
I'm probably gonna be like, listen, man, I ran all the numbers. The lowest I can do is 1,092 and 68 cents.
Super calculated number.
What's gonna happen? There is a chance, and it happened to me many times as a dispatcher. I got some really nice loads because of that. Everybody is so conditioned to those round numbers, 2,000, 1,000, 1,500, that the broker will think, shit, man, this guy really did his math. This is probably like
For real.
this is probably for real, and he's probably gonna feel pretty confident paying that money, because he's gonna be like, look, man, if that guy is so specific, so the next one is just gonna be like closer to 2,100 than 29, whatever. Just come up with some crazy numbers, and that's what your dispatcher is supposed to be doing as well, because every dollar count. If let's say if we run 1,100, 1,100, so let's say 5 loads, $1,100 a piece. At the end of the week, you're at 5,500 gross, right? If your dispatch, trust me, if the broker can pay 1,100, he can probably pay 11.15 and 99. You add a little bit of money to each load of that. Can you get every time instead of 1,100 to 11.50? No, maybe not. But can you push 11.37? Can you push 11.45? And you start adding those money through the week, you can easily get another $100 or $200 a week.
Yeah, because the broker will not have any issues telling you that this load now is $9.95.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not gonna hesitate at all.
Absolutely.
And then
So
you're gonna say, but I just did this for 1,100. Fine, man, I'll give you 1,100, and there you are at the same number.
yes, and you're back to that rounded number, and that just means that is your dispatcher negotiating hard enough.
Okay, so here we go. All right, so those are top indicators to identify, but it definitely sounds like we just said you gotta test drive the situation in order to know if it's actually gonna work. Seems like there's really no way around that until you just got to dig in and get trucking.
Yeah, and unless you want me to interview a dispatcher, I would be happy to do that. Only if your dispatcher agrees. So Guys, I think pay attention to who is your dispatcher. Don't get in the way. It's a partnership. It's not a fight. It's supposed to be a team effort to get the top dollar for your business, and your business comes first.
Right. And don't forget, we got an event coming up soon enough. You'll see some more advertising on that. And we're going to be doing an educational event for those who are thinking about getting into trucking with more details like this, because the more you know, success will be in your favor.
All right, guys, take care, drive safe, and we'll talk to you on the next video.